Well, Coach Rowan, welcome to Cape Town once again.
Thank you.
And I know you've traveled the country, and maybe you can take us into your coaching journey so far since you've left Cape Town.
Thank you, Idris. Thank you for having me. I think for me, it's been important to develop as a coach. And to develop as a coach, I needed to broaden my horizon and I needed to get out a little bit and see what football is like outside of Cape Town. And that is why when the opportunity came for me to go to Polokwane City with Coach Johnny Ferreira, I took it with both hands and I said, okay, let me go and test myself in the NFD. Having worked before with him at FC Cape Town, so it wasn't new to me, the NFD, but it was an opportunity to be in a football club outside of Cape Town. And yeah, the lessons learned, the struggles fought, the battles won with him has helped me a lot in my coaching career.
Maybe you can take us into confidence in comparing the setups where you were at Ajax at the time, which is now Cape Town Spurs, and then you moved to Polokwane, obviously maybe in different divisions altogether. How did you find the working environment? I mean, you've got a good relationship with the coach then, Johnny Ferreira, and how he called on you to come through at the club.
Yeah, so what happened was before I actually went to Ajax, I was the under-16 head coach at Ajax Cape Town. So before that, I was Johnny's assistant at FC Cape Town. And besides being the head coach of the under-17 team that they had, I was also the head coach of the ABC team. And then Mr. Hendricks, the chairman that time of the club, he said to me, come and assist Johnny. Johnny would like to have you. And I think that was my first taste of NFD football and of professional football. Sadly, the club was sold. Obviously, we know it was sold to Ubuntu. And then that's when I joined Ajax Cape Town with Hans Vonk, asking me to come for an interview. I went and became the under-16 head coach. And he used me more like a technical coach. So sometimes I'll be with the under-12s, under-14s, obviously with the under-16s, and sometimes I think I took them to the engine as well. And I won the under-14 Lucky Star tournament with Ajax. So those boys, I always tell them they made history because they were the last Ajax Cape Town team. But some of them were training with our under-16s already, and so it was easy for me to integrate them from coach to players because they've been working with me for 6 months. And then COVID hit, obviously. And in 2020 and 2021, Coach Johnny called me and then we went to Polokwane City. But we went there basically the second round of the league, and the team was at the bottom. They were fighting relegation, and Coach Johnny asked me, "Would you come? Are you up for it?" And I think going to clubs like that where you learn how to really fight relegation. So it's not a lot of how good can you coach, but it's what can you get out of the players to get the results that is needed. Because every game is like a cup final, and it's just a different mentality. It's a different way of thinking, different way of training, and I enjoyed it because it was sharpening me up for what I wanted to do in coaching one day.
Talk about what you wanted to do. That is when you transitioned into Vendor Football Academy as well. And how much of that experience has kind of assisted you in that appointment? And how did that appointment also came about?
So, yeah, at the end of the 2020-2021 season, Coach Johnny, and we only had a 6 to 7 month contract. So the contract wasn't renewed. We saved the team from relegation. Our contract wasn't renewed, but Coach Johnny said we're not going back to Cape Town. He said we're remaining in Limpopo, and I was like, which teams, you know? Now I've gone from Cape Town to Polokwane, and then he said to me, no, there's a new team called Venda Football Academy. It's an ABC team, but they have bought the franchise of Cape Moyo, and he said they would want him as the head coach. Would I come and with him and assist? And my wife was obviously with me, and she travels with me wherever I go and I coach. And we spoke about it, and I asked her what she wants to do, because she helps in these decisions for me. And she said, yeah, let's do it. And we packed our bags from Polokwane. I think we only went for 1 week to Bloemfontein just to have a break after the season. And then after a week, I was packing my bags again, and I was off to Louis Trichardt. It's a small city in Venda, in Limpopo. So if you think Polokwane is far, Louis Trichardt is very, very, very far. And yeah, it's like 5 hours drive, bus drive. I think when we got to Polokwane, it was like 5 hours. Then it's another hour's drive from Polokwane to Louis Trichardt. So it's like 6 hours from Johannesburg. And yeah, 5, 6 hours. So yeah, then we arrived at night. We arrived I didn't know how Louis Trichardt looks like. I've never ever been there. But you know what, Idris, for me, it rang a bell. And that is why I wanted to do these things. Because I knew that Bobby Solomons had been at Polokwane City before. And he's a Cape Town coach. And for me, it brought a lot of pride also, and some proudness inside of myself that another coach like myself from Cape Town could have coached at Polokwane City. It's not every day that these things happen, you know. And yes, it was a tough environment, but I was leaving a tough environment and going to an even more tougher environment, which is Venda, which is Limpopo. But it was a great transition, because in the first season of building a team from scratch, having to have trials, having to learn the culture, having to get to know your colleagues, your peers, the people. I loved my first season. Not that I didn't like the second season, but I loved the first season because I was very hands-on on the team. Yeah, maybe I'll explain later about that.
Yeah. Talk about the lifestyle and the adaptation, moving from Cape Town. I mean, you've traveled the world. You've played at the highest level. But having embarked on the coaching journey and you move from Cape Town to Venda, Limpopo, and how did you find the acclimatization? And I mean, obviously, you've learned a lot of things. We've seen a lot of photos that you've taken. That means that you were embracing and integrating in the society.
Yeah, I think that stems from a young age. And I don't want to discredit anyone, but a little colored boy from Bishop Lavis, from Cape Town, goes to School of Excellence, and he gets to stay with African people for the first time. I'm from a colored background, and I got to stay with African people, and I just could get along with them. I could learn the language, I could understand the culture, you know. And then from School of Excellence, I go to Germany. So another culture, another transition of my life. And this helped me to transition into my coaching, because now I felt free. I know how to get along with different cultures, different people, different ethnic groups. And that is why even when I went to Venda, I started learning the language. Guys would laugh at me. When they start speaking in Venda, I'm like, hey, watch it. And I'll throw some words in, you know. So I love culture. I love different how do I say, ethnic groups, and I just feel you as a coach, when you immerse yourself in their shoes, and this is what has taught me during my playing career. Get to know the language, people will respect you and love you more, because now you're not only being there for a certain reason, but you're also getting to know them. You're becoming personal, you're becoming more intimate. And that's something that that I think helps my football, my football coaching, that I can transcend and I can just go with the flow with wherever I'm working.
So this sort of, because you know the human beings, you understand the person.
Yeah.
You're not only focusing on the technical aspect.
Yeah.
There is the non-verbal communication because you understand people, you understand the language, you understand the landscape, and that obviously has really played a pivotal role into your coaching journey and to solidify your journey when it comes into coaching.
True. Yeah. When you get to know the person, you get to know the footballer better, because now you are understanding why he's making certain decisions, why he's feeling the way he's feeling, or why he's doing it the way you maybe don't want it as a coach, but because you know him as a person, you can relate. And I think I struggled with that in the beginning. I really struggled with that when I was coaching in the youth. But because I spent a lot of time with them, I started realizing that if you can tap into the emotional side, into the mental side of the footballer, then the physical side just follows. The talent just follows. The growth follows. So that was what I'm really about now, getting to know a lot more about the background, and this is why top coaches are top coaches today. It's because their man management has become good, and it's not to say you buying the face of the player. It's not that. Players can see when it's authentic. Players can see when it's real. They know when people are faking it. But when they see that you are real, that you're in it with them, then we always say they will run through a wall for you.
Coach, you are settled at Venda Football Academy and gets into the NFD, and I think you've mentioned the status was bought. What sort of, what comes into play in the coaching space? And here you are, you're finding yourself there, you're trying to adapt. Take us through the football side and the management of the club.
Okay, so I will. What I can say is that it is a very, very vibrant club. They are very passionate about Venda Football Academy, and also the owners, Mr. Ramayeti and Mr. Mjolele, are two guys who want to see the region develop into a region that says we are developing Venda footballers. I like that, and not that I didn't like it before, but they really want to invest in the region and in their say townships where they come from. So the Mr. Ramayete and Mr. Njulele, they will always go back to the urban area where they grew up, and they will always give back to those say SAB or third or fourth division teams. And it's not a show. It's not a show. You can see it's authentic. So much so that tournament, and it's the biggest I've ever seen. And they had so many teams playing in a tournament, and they are wealthy, but they kitted out everyone. They not only kitted, but they gave equipment, and everyone was invited to Yano Stadium. I mean, more fans came to the stadium than for NFD match during that tournament, and it was amazing. But my first year at Venda Football Academy, so Coach Johnny Ferreira and I, we leave, we go to Venda. We have to now restart the whole team, rebuild, have to get in experienced players. We have to do trials. Yes, you will lose one or two players, so much so that one of the star players, we actually omitted him from trials. But then he was sent back, and I'm like, hey, but this guy is again here. I know this face, And because sometimes I have pictures where there's like 200, 300 kids. And how do you do that? Everybody wants to become a footballer. Everybody thinks they're good. Everybody has the talent. But you can only make a squad of 20, 30 players, 40 players. Not even 40, maybe 30 if you are lucky, And he came back, this player, Mariba, I'm talking about now. And today is one of the star players, of Venda Football Academy. Actually, last season he was signed by Sekakune, but he's loaned back to VFA. Yeah, so the first season I was Coach Johnny's assistant coach. I basically I was in charge of the physical conditioning also, being his assistant coach, and then I was also doing the video analyzing. So I was analyzing opponents, and I was also then analyzing our team, how we can play better, and it was fun because I was moving into a different space, not just being a football coach, doing drills, doing warm-ups, but I had to transition into now video analyzing, performance analyzing, physical conditioning, and it helped me grow really as a coach, getting into that space. Then obviously we finished 5th in the first season. For me, I was very happy, but I think we could have, with just some how do I say, some more concentration and more readiness, I think we could have gotten into the playoffs, because there was a time we were 3rd and we were like the new kids on the block, and we were 3rd and things were like we were gelling, and then I think the last 7 games took a lot out of us, because it was like a final. Every game was like a final. It was so close. Tux was there, JDR was there, eventual winners. Who's the eventual winners that time? Trying to think now. Royal AM, yeah, Richards Bay was there. It was very tough. And yeah, so competing with those teams who are seasoned campaigners, JDR is always there. Hungry Lions, they are always there. And yeah, we ended 5th. And in the new season, the next season, then Coach Johnny, his contract wasn't renewed. The chairman sat down with me and he said he liked the work that I did, and he said he wants to keep me at the club, but he's not renewing Coach Johnny's contract. And I felt sad, because this was like a father. He's like a father figure to me. It's not that I travel wherever he goes, but he has taught me so much, And yeah, so we settled, and we said, okay. He offered me the head of youth position. It's never been at the football club, and he asked me could I help develop young players in Limpopo. I had to come up, and this was something new for me as well. Being a football coach, doing video analyzing, doing physical conditioning, and now I was becoming head of youth, having to put structures together. Now learning the dynamics of where each town is, the distance, the geographical distances, getting to know which type of players is in which area, what the club needs, the philosophy. Is it the same as the vision? Coming up with mission statements, and it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. So you kind of expanding in your coaching space, because that is where you became more like a video analyst for the club, analyzing performances. How did it feel for you when Johnny left and you were moved into becoming the head of youth? Was it more, you somehow felt like it was a demotion, or was it something that you saw as an opportunity to expand? I mean, you've touched on some areas that you have to focus on, looking at the vision of the club and sorting out the structure at the club and knowing the towns. And I think you said it earlier that the club seems to be investing in its community, because they understand that there is talent that is there. If they can support that talent, it will be easier for the club to sort of expand and accept.
Yeah, and this is where talent identification comes in also. I didn't see it as a demotion. Although it was sad now, because Coach Johnny wasn't with me. It was the first time I was on my own again, and I'm out of Cape Town. And you get that anxiety, like, okay, who do I trust? Who will work with me? Who will work against me? What do I have to do to win people over? And you learn. It's like a crash course. It's either you do it and you fail and you get up and you move on, or you do it and you succeed and you say, hey, this works. This is the way I should do it. And I saw it as a learning curve, because I learned so much, even if it was for a short period, because being head of youth, Coach Michael Lofman was the head coach. But it was a difficult time because I just had to focus on youth, building the youth. And I didn't go to first team trainings. I didn't go a lot to matches. So I was losing touch with the NFD, but what I was losing there, I was making up with how does a, a, a head coach identify talent? How first identify the talent, how do you develop the talent, how do you then also nurture the talent? So those things I was learning now more intensely, and putting programs together, timesheets, training schedules. Although those things you do as an assistant coach, but now it was going to meet clubs, going to meet coaches, socializing with the coaches, having coaching seminars for specific teams that we wanted to build sisterhood clubs with. So what I did was I took 4 clubs under our wing, and the aim of the 4 clubs was to develop not only certain players, but to develop the coaches so that the coaches develop the players. And I had to do that because I couldn't be at one place or at the same time. So sometimes I'll be a week in one area, and then I would go the different week I'll go to a certain Guyani, or all these small towns. And it didn't really materialize because of the dynamics of the first team. Michael Lofman resigned. When he resigned, the head coach, the chairman, spoke to me and he said, listen, because of what you did last season, we want to bring you back to the first team. And the assistant coach then became the head coach, which is Kabelo Sibai. And then I had to become, from head coach, from head of youth, I had to now become the assistant coach again. And it was like, now I have to get used to the players again because I was out of touch with the players. I was just focusing on youth, just development. But that was my background. I knew what was needed. We played our first match. The team wasn't doing well, obviously. That's why Coach Michael resigned, and the chairman felt I should come back. Then it was game 4, I think, or game 5. And then all of a sudden, our first match was Baroka, and Baroka had just gotten relegated from the PSL. And I was like, yo, it's like a baptism of fire in the hot seat, in the hot seat. And the team wasn't doing well. Physically, they weren't looking good. They weren't confident. And we had 1 week to get their mind right. So mentally, I had to get them right with Coach Sibaya. We had to change a few things. And we ended up beating Baroka 1-0 at home. And they never kept Coach Sibaya on, Coach Cabello. And then I was like, yo, we just got a good result, but you already have someone else in mind, Just give us maybe 2 or 3 more games. Let us get a momentum. But when Coach Michael resigned, I think they had already had someone in place that they wanted to bring, and that's when Coach Simo Gladla, he came. And then he brought Macbeth Sibaya, obviously now. And I went back from being assistant coach, I went back to head of youth. And the physical conditioning coach was still there. So in came Joel Masuta as well. So it was Simo Gladla, it was Macbeth Sibaya, it was Joel Masuta, and then physical conditioner, and Rowan was back on the outside. But it was okay. It was okay. I enjoyed being in the club because it wasn't about me. It was about the experience. What can I learn? And I was just hungry. I was really hungry to learn. And I think that's what made my stay in Limpopo the way it was. And I learned so much as a coach, not just as an assistant, but as a coach. So I learned how to do performance analyzing, video analyzing, physical conditioning, head of youth, being an assistant coach, putting things together that I didn't dream of. And I wouldn't have gotten that experience had I been here in Cape Town, So, yeah.
So, in other words, you have a KFA license. And when you take on this coaching journey, you sort of expand it beyond the scope. and because there's also the administration that is involved in understanding the vision of the club and just try to put that together. So going back to where you were as the head of youth, you sort of got, where you were as the assistant coach, and you're trying to work out the vision of the club, trying to connect things. I mean, the instability of course in football becomes a bit of a challenge because you're working with a certain coach, you're trying to fit in with the structure, then somebody else comes in, and then the whole dynamics do change.
Yeah.
And I think out of that, coach, you really learned a lot and you expanded in your scope. What leads to the departure? And this is something that is always seen as inevitable in the coaching space. We don't find coaches staying very long at a club because of changes, technical changes, because then comes a new technical team, they bring their own vision, and then changes do take place.
I think if I should speak about me leaving Venda Football Academy, I didn't want to become a guy that was known to be staying when others are leaving. I already experienced that with Coach Johnny Ferreira when he left Venda Football Academy in the first season. Coach Michael Loftman came with his own technical team. I was head of youth. He resigned. I stayed. I became assistant coach. Coach Cabello leaves. Rowan stays. Coach Simo Gladgla comes. He leaves. Rowan stays. Then Coach Joel Masuta became head coach. And I didn't want to be assistant coach. I'll be honest. I didn't want to be part of his technical team for my reasons. And I was forced into that position by the chairman. I had signed, in one season, they've had 4 head coaches. And I had signed a head of youth contract. And I wanted to focus on that. But because of what the chairman saw in me, the value and my qualities, he wanted me to be part of the first team. And there was things that didn't sit well with me. And I thought to myself that if coaches are leaving and I'm staying, what is it going to be like? What are people going to think out there about me? And I didn't want that stigma on me. I didn't want that. And the day I resigned, it's because of that. It's not because I didn't like being in Limpopo or I didn't want to be at the club anymore, which I still do have a great love for them. I'm still in contact with a lot of people in Venda, even at the club as well. But it was purely because I didn't want to be seen as the guy that is backstabbing people or the guy that is always remaining when everybody is leaving. And it was hard to leave. I must say it was hard to leave. And because when you almost 2 seasons, 3 seasons at a club, you build relationships. You don't only know the vision, but you carry the vision. Even like the culture, you start embedding the culture inside of you, and it becomes like a machine, and there's emotion attached to that as well. So I needed to leave so that I don't build a reputation of being someone that is seen as someone that's backstabbing coaches.
It looks like the chairman had confidence in you, seeing that he moved you from being an assistant to head the youth because of the vision at the club. Would you say maybe he was disappointed that you left before the time? Because maybe you still had more things that he believed that you could achieve at the club?
Yeah. I know a little bit more than what I should know at the club in terms of what they want to build. I know that they are going to build a super football center there because I helped in the architecture, the drawing up of the plans of what they are going to build there. So I think that me said because into what is needed in the facilities, how the structure looks, and I think the chairman he might be disappointed in me because it was a long-term vision that he saw, but I just felt that for me to grow, I needed to get out of that space, and I hope that they do what we envisioned for, The plans are there. The architecture is beautiful. It's great. I haven't shared it with anyone because I don't feel that's my place to do it, but I have it, and I think that they have a vision to make Limpopo and Venda a hub, a football hub, and I think in 2 years' time, 2 3 years' time, that could be where most of the football is coming from and being played.
That'll be good because now we're getting footballers all over the country and having people to invest in their communities. Maybe that would they would take a lead in influencing and encouraging others to do the same within their communities.
The communities.
Coach, you transition into from that space, and as they say, the coach's bags are always packed and ready to move. And then you go to Bloemfontein. What do you do in Bloemfontein, and how does this call come about? And having left maybe sometime in May at the time, do you have a lot of time to reflect? Or is that now the call just comes through and then off you go again?
I think I try not to rush. But football sometimes doesn't allow you space and time. And what happened was when I left VFA in May, and then because my contract was ending in June, so I still had 2 months left, but I had had enough. And when I got to Bloemfontein, because my wife is from Bloemfontein, so we have family there, and it's a time we have always. I think Bloemfontein is always a place where I go and I reflect and I have time for myself, and I look at things differently. And it's the hecticness of life kind of slows down for me in Bloemfontein. And I found myself again. I found happiness. I found peace. And when I was there, because I have friends in Bloemfontein as well, football friends, and Coach Godfrey Turnoff then phones me up and he says, "Hey, what you doing? While you are here in Bloemfontein and you don't have a team yet, don't you want to come back?" Because I worked at the University of the Free State before. It was actually one of my first coaching possibilities that I got into coaching ABC was in Bloemfontein. I actually did one of my first coaching certificates in Bloemfontein, and he said to me, come back to the university, you're part of it. And I am really part of COFSI because there's some things that I have done and said there that have stayed, and that is in their vision, it's in their ethos, and I've always felt at home there. And then he said, come and be technical advisor. They have a head coach. Come and be technical advisor during the Varsity Cup football. And I said, yeah, why not? And so spoke to the head coach, asked him, do you want me to do this? And he needed help. And so he said, yeah, come. And I said, okay, fine. I've got time on my hands and I want to stay busy. And that's how I ended up being at COFSI and helping them prepare the team. Now it wasn't just me having to coach. Now going from head of youth, where you identify talent, develop talent, nurture the talent, I was now a technical advisor. And sometimes you have to stand outside, you have to watch, observe, and again, something new for me. Learning to also delegate, no more hands-on. And sometimes what I learned in that space, in being a technical advisor, was that sometimes your idea of football is not really that of the coach, but you have to accept it. You have to respect it. And that for me is something big that I took upon myself. That now it's not me having to do it. Now it's the coach, but how can you guide the coach? How can you help the coach make his vision or make his goal or make his philosophy be that of the team, so that when it goes bad, you are there to pick him up. You are there to say, okay, let's do this. But now you advise, but at the end of the day, it's still the head coach's decision. And being a technical advisor, again, another leap that I did in my coaching career now, has helped me also understand what coaches, me being a coach myself, but what we go through, because we are there in the forest. But when you get out of the forest, when you get high, then you can see, okay, this is what is happening. And that is why, for me, because during Varsity Cup I wasn't on the field. During Varsity Cup I was in the stand. So I could see everything. I could see the body language. I could see the bench. I could see the coach, his emotions. I could see the players. I could see who's warming up, how the intensity is, all these things. Even I was sitting next to the analyst. So sometimes we'll share things like, okay, what do you see? What do I see? How do we give this message back to the bench? Who speaks at halftime? It was good. I enjoyed it.
Wow, that is, you just gave like a bird's view of actually what happens being in a technical advisor space and how coaches are guided from an experienced coach. Because I think we've seen in some instances where we see people become technical advisors, but they're not staying in that role. They're actually going for the head coach.
Yeah.
And that has been the perception that has been created in the country, with those appointments.
Yeah.
And it's good to hear a good story like this where you actually stuck to your role and you gave advice and you could oversee the technical aspect of the game. So you had your stay there, coach, and how long do you stay there and what leads you to come back home? Because it looks like when you went to Bloemfontein, it was full circle. That's where you started your coaching journey.
Yeah. So you are right when you say that a technical advisor or technical director, he should have not only the club's best interests at heart, but also the coach. Make the coach, and maybe this is some advice that I can give, make the coach comfortable that he is the head coach, not that you are there to take over. Make the coach understand that if he has a vision for his team and he has the philosophy, that you can help, not change, but that you can help. And I think understanding also that you won't always agree, but when you disagree, it shouldn't be that you say, okay, now I'm done. Because that's mistakes that I have made there also in Bloemfontein. I also got fed up because it was a new thing to me, But I came to understand, hey, whoa, you are learning. You not the coach, you're the technical advisor now. And when you get that right, I think technical advisors and head coaches, they can gel and work together. And coming back to your question, where I was just there for the time of the Varsity Cup, and then I got a call from the chairman of Ikapa Sporting, where I was at now, and he asked me what am I doing, and I said, no, I'm at the Varsity Cup. I'm at KOFSI, the University of the Free State, technical advisor. I'm helping them during the Varsity Cup. And he said to me, Wood, I want to come to Ikapa. And I laughed at him because I said to him, yeah, I got a hint that you are looking for a coach. Someone did call me and say that you are looking for a coach, but I never reached out to him. He reached out to me, and he left it. A week later, he said, what do you think? So I thought about it, asked my wife, there's an offer that I might go back to Cape Town. Do we do it? Like always, I'll ask her. And then I said to her, okay, you first apply and see if you'll have a job in Cape Town. And if it's yes, then I will agree and I'll come to Cape Town. And she got a job in Cape Town, and then I said to the chairman of Ikapa, okay, it's fine, I'll come. 3 things that I asked him, and we agreed on those 3 things, and then we came.
You land in Cape Town with your family, which is good. That is how you move around. There's that consultation, and the decision is, it's a unanimous decision. You land at Ikapa, and what is, what is the vision at Ikapa? What is being laid down to you to say this is what you would like to achieve in this season? And we know Ikapa at some stage they were doing well in the league. And only in recent times that things became a little bit difficult, like all the other clubs, because this is such a tough league. ABC would say. What is set out for you to achieve here at Ikapa?
Promotion, like every other team. Straight away it was set. He wants to win promotion. But when I came, I didn't find the team And I'll be honest, I didn't find a team that I can say is league contenders. You know, I only had less than 8 weeks. Normally we'll have preseason like 6 weeks. I had about 5 weeks, I would say max, that I was putting a team together, and some players just wasn't of that quality that you can say are league contenders. There was many players that I had to let go, and players that we had to bring in as well. But the difficulty for me was that the training venue wasn't there. Sometimes we'll be training in one venue, and then when we get there again, we're not allowed to train. Sometimes I'll have to take the team to the beach. Sometimes I'll have to train on a five-a-side court. These are just some of the difficulties that I honestly experienced at the football club. Sometimes you'll have 10 players, 12 players at training, but then the quality of the session is also dependent on the players. And that was a little bit frustrating. And I think the players could also see it, that listen, we are not ready for the league, you know. I remember when, just before we played the first Nedbank match, for me it was difficult because just a week before, I think we lost badly to Emati's team, if I remember. We lost very bad in a friendly match. And I was like really worried, like, yo, am I going into the league with a half a team, with players that are not ready to compete, and the mandate is to win the league. It's the mandate of every football club, you know, and you wouldn't want it different because you want to compete, you want to be competitive. But those were some of the challenges. I think the biggest one was finding a venue. A lot of doors was just being closed to us for unbeknown reasons. We were finding ourselves training 1 week in Chaka Road at one venue. Then we'll go to another venue. We'll be there for 1 or 2 days. Then we'll have to go to UCT and run stairs. So it was really challenging, and no one knows these things. Everyone just looks at the team on the field. They look at the performance. They look at the results. But the day-to-day, in the week, that was really challenging for me.
That looks like that cuts right across in some of the clubs or teams in these divisions where there are no venues, they move around. Because I think Ikapa at some stage they were in Kukuletu, where that was their home venue. And that also depends on who is in the administration in the local football association and what relationships transpire there, because the LFAs also, they want something in return, you know, that they be feeling associated to the club and the benefits thereof. And with all these challenges, coach, that you find, you happen to play your 3 league games and your 2 Nedbank Cup games. How does this all come together? And did you feel like you were achieving what you wanted to achieve, having to assemble the team at the time?
If you touch on something very important, relationships, building relationships with people, it's very important for me, and I think that was it is a missing link at the football club. How do you build relationships with people so that they are open to accept you, you know? And I was trying to do that, so much so that we ended up the last 3 weeks training and playing games in Nyanga on the Astro field. And because I knew I had relationships there with people, you know, and that they valued me there, I said to the owner, let's go there, because I know I'm safe there. I'm in an environment where people, they accept me, and I know they will accept this team there. We just have to do it the right way, you know. And that was good. We could play 2 matches in Nyanga. We were training in Nyanga the last 3 weeks before my departure. And I like that. Even having a relationship with the new Zizwe coach and his technical team, you know, I look at the last week of me being there, because they were playing Cape Town Spurs. They would train on the Astro field. We were playing FN. We'll go to the grass, and then we'll change over if they are going to play in grass and we're going to play home match in Nyanga. So I like that. That's building relationships. And the first game of the Nedbank, we go to Beaufort. and we could only take 13 players because that was the players that was registered. And we all know what happens in Beaufort, the weather, the atmosphere. You know, we've heard many stories about Beaufort, and we managed to win in Beaufort with a character of a team that only they know what we did to win that match, because they dug very deep, you know, having substitutions, and you look across the field and the opponents are making 5 substitutions, you know, and you still win the game 3-2 after leading 3-0. Obviously, fatigue will kick in, concentration will drop. So yeah, they came back, and luckily we had scored 3 goals already, winning the match. We come back and we lose the next match to Kenya. Yeah, it was just a moment where I think the guys thought they arrived, and I think we that was a bad performance, very very bad performance, but it was a wake up call. We then decided with the chairman, let's change the squad, let's bring in players that we think can help us immediately, because the league was starting. And then yeah, we go to the first league game, and we go away to Junction Rovers, Heideveld. We obviously, the score is there, we beat them, scoring a very late goal. Them scoring an own goal. I think the score was 3-2, and we played the whole second half with 10 men against Junction in Heideveld. That on its own is difficult. Playing with 11 is difficult. Imagine playing with 10 against 11 the whole second half. We led 2-0 at halftime, but they came back. Obviously, we had 10 men. A minute into second half, we got a red card, another yellow card. A player got a second yellow offense booking, and then it's 2-2, and then just character again. And it's also how you develop a team, how you prepare them for moments like that in the game. I loved working with my technical team. I think they understood me, and I gave them freedom to do what they wanted to do. Some of them were new at doing what they were doing, but it's because of the experience that I had in Limpopo, learning to be a technical advisor in the Free State. So it was easy to delegate and to give responsibility and just let them flow, you know. So we win the first game. We come to a home match. It's Royal Blues. They come to us in Nyanga. There was some situation with the lights, and it was a very frustrating game because it's a 2-1 scoreline, and the nonsense of the lights, them not being able to see starts, you know. And I said to the players, like, they can come and score and make it 2-2 and close shop, you know. So we need to score another goal. We need to make it 3-1 very quickly, and it's a long delay, you know. And then we eventually get a goal, and I think we win 4-1 or 4-2. I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, that was the 2 games that I really enjoyed with the team, and it was a build-up because we put the work in training. Whether we were having a proper venue, whether we were having enough players on training, you know, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see on match day, but that we persevere during the week. We'd get it done, you know. It's more, I said to the team, it's more us looking for solutions than us saying what the problem is. If you say what the problem is, do you have a solution? No? Okay, let's find one, you know. Whether we needed to drive players to training, we did. You know, whether we needed to fetch players, we did it. Whether we needed to give money for taxi, we did it. Whether we needed to take you home after training, that's what we did as a technical team. And the third match against FN Rangers I think it was a good match. I think we played really, really, really well. We took them to the wire, as people will say. We took them to the end. They scored from a free kick towards, I think it was like 20 minutes or 15 minutes left. Free kick set piece. But we also had our chances in that game. We lose 1-0, and yeah, that's when obviously people know now already I resigned after the game. It was for personal reasons. I don't want to go too much into that or even into that, but yeah, it was for personal reasons that I needed to resign. And I want to state it here that I was not fired, and it was not a mutual agreement like some people might say or want to claim. I resigned. It was my decision. There was no yes, no, maybe. It was a decision that I took, a decision that I needed to take. And I feel I'd made the right decision because I didn't want to lose myself as a person and as a coach, but I wanted to keep my integrity and I wanted to remain the person that I was. And if I feel that I'm not valued or trusted or respected, then I shouldn't be at a football club.
Is this the decision, coach, you take before the game, or this is after the game that you are resigning at the club?
It was a decision that I took before the game. I knew before the game I'm going to resign. It was things that happened that built up to my decision, you know, things happening in the background. And like I say, I don't want to talk too much about it because I enjoyed being with my technical team. I enjoyed being with the players there. We built something very, very, very good. Yeah, it was obviously sad to just after the game resign. And to some it might look like he resigns because he loses. No, it was a decision that I took personally on the Wednesday already. And I could have stayed away. I could have resigned on the Wednesday. I could have resigned the Thursday. I could have resigned the Friday. I could have not even gone to the match. But because I needed to respect my technical team, I needed to respect the players. And Kelly, my team manager, she was the one that said, Rowan, you guys have worked so hard. I came in, you know, and she said, come to the match. And that's the honest truth. If it wasn't for Kelly, I would have probably acted immaturely and not gone to the match. But Kelly was the one that said, you know what, come to the match, and after the game, whether win or lose, we will make the decision, and you will give the players then your decision. And that's what I did.
Yeah. Is this decision communicated to the club before the match? Is this the decision that is communicated, let's say, with the owner of the club or whoever is running the club?
No, it wasn't before. Because of what was happening before the match, the build-up in that week, it wasn't before. But after the final whistle was blown, I went over to the chairman, and he was the first one that I said before I told the players. My technical team knew that I was going to resign. So before the players knew it, I went to the chairman of that. This is it, I'm done. I'm resigning. And he said to me, his words was to me that it's your call. And I said, yes, it is my call. It is my decision. And then I went over to the players and I told them that this is it for me. I'm not going to continue. I'm resigning.
Does the chairman accept when he says it's your call? Does he accept your resignation?
I think he does, because whether he didn't accept it or not, it wasn't going to change my mind. You know, he accepted it. He said to the players, take off. We will have a meeting. You know, he thanked me. Actually, he called the team manager and myself together, and then he thanked me for the time and the effort that I put in at the club. And I said to him, no, it's fine. You know.
So the good thing is that I know the chairman, Sean. He is always there whenever the club plays. So this sort of, works out in the sense of thanking you in front of your technical team and in front of the entire team as you submit your resignation.
No, it didn't. It didn't happen in front of the players. He never thanked me in front of the players. He thanked me when I was alone with the team manager. So that's when it happened. But I don't want to sound negative, but it wasn't a nice goodbye. from the
this
club.
This is a breakdown of a relationship. In other
Yeah,
words.
it is. It is. There was a breakdown.
Because there was a
in the
relationship that started when you were called and you were part of the technical team as the head coach.
Yes.
So now you're reaching a point where the relationship is the breakdown.
Yeah.
One has to, to go based on the background stuff that does take place.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a breakdown in relationship, in respect, in trust. That there was a breakdown in that. I don't want to go too much into it because, yeah, I think it the way it ended wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. I'll be honest. It wasn't nice. I didn't want to leave the team so early. I think we had a good thing going, but I needed to resign. I needed to leave, based on trust, respect. You can't work for someone after they said, "I can't trust you." Yeah.
So that clearly, there's a breakdown of a relationship.
Yeah.
Coach, you exit Ikapa in that fashion, and we've seen the interviews that you've, or rather, in interview that you gave. Where to from there in that space? Because we expected you to spend the entire season and execute what your mandate was at the club. Now you leave the club in that fashion. Where do you go from there? And do you get the time to reflect? Because in all of this, then the young Bafana also has a vacancy. There's a whole lot of things that is happening in the space at the same time.
Yeah, I did get a call from young Bafana on Monday. I was surprised. They called me just to have a chat with me, and it was very. I don't think it was long, or I think it was very brief and honest and open. Yeah, good luck to the coach who becomes the young Bafana coach. They have a great setup. I think it's a good club. I think it's a club that has a lot of potential. Where I come from, the Ajax Cape Town setup, it's a lot similar because it's developing youth. It's a growing club. It's a community club. I think when I was asked what is your vision, or what's your philosophy, or what would you want to come and do here when I came, and I said, the first thing for me, what is important is what is the club's vision, what is the philosophy of the club, what is the culture of the club. That is important. When those things are in place, it becomes easy for the coach to say, I can identify with that, or I can't identify with that. Because sometimes coaches, we run our mouths, and then we end up, from being a development coach, having to develop players. Now all of a sudden you want to win a league, and you forget what the real objective is of the club. And that's what I asked them, what is your objectives because I can also come in and say, I want to win the league, but is that the objective of the team? Is that the vision of the club? And yeah, if you have the buy-in of the culture of the club, if the coach buys into that, the vision, the philosophy, how things are done, and what their expectation is, then I think the young Bafana coach, he will do, whoever it is, will do well in that environment.
Yeah, we understand the young Bafana having gone to the playoffs last season, and they look like they are an ambitious club, and it looks like they are also focusing their energies on the youth as well. So we kind of understand a little bit, and I think that is something that you also asked for in terms of what is their vision, so that you can align your vision to their vision, so that you can achieve what the club wants to achieve, and you can also achieve what you want to achieve as a coach. Because eventually you will be the coach that will stand up on your own, with your own philosophy, with your own identity, even if you get appointed or you don't get appointed for that. But we wish you all the best, coach, for that opportunity, because that's the nature of the game. With coaches, you just move around and you find new opportunities, clubs that do align with your vision. While we're waiting for that announcement, because I believe that announcement is coming up in the next 24 hours. What do you do in your space? I mean, we've seen you've got a show that you do run that focuses on motivation, and I think this is maybe in line with what you have experienced having played at the highest level. What are some of the things that you incorporate into that? And what do you seek to achieve, especially maybe within the football space and maybe beyond?
I think for me, important is that I keep on developing footballers, but also the human side. Even the RS7 soccer show, there's so many things that every day I learn and I understand and I want to do, and I see how God is pushing me into certain directions. That's why you'll see I'll do motivation, I'll do certain things just randomly, but it's got to do with who does Rowan want to be remembered as. It's not what can I do, but it's more like what can I give, For me, it's important that I keep my identity. I don't lose myself and become someone that I'm not, because I cannot operate completely in an environment being something that I'm not. And that for me is important, that what am I going to do after football? Am I just going to coach, or do I want to develop, or do I want to become an academy coach? Do I want to have my own academy? Do I just go into podcasting? Do I just go into telling, letting people tell their story on my show? So I'm in that space now that I feel at peace. My wife loves being in Cape Town. I love being in Cape Town, and I feel that I have a lot to give, more than what I can receive, because as young as I am now, I have a lot of things going in my head that okay, where's the need, and can I help with that need, and that for me is important, that I don't become someone that is chasing 3 points only. I don't want to become a coach that's only chasing a win, or is under pressure if he doesn't get the win. That comes as a football coach. That comes in. That's our space we live in. We get hired and we get fired. But what's going to happen to Rowan, the football coach? Because I know the type of coach that I am. I know the coach that I want to be. But I also know that there is a need for coaches to help develop talent, help nurture that talent, help identify that talent. That's me. And I don't want to sound arrogant, but it's easy for anyone to win 3 points. It's easy. You either win the game or you lose the game. And there's a certain way to win a match, and there's also a certain way to lose a match. So football shouldn't just be about win, lose, draw. Because when win, lose, draw isn't there anymore, that kid or that footballer still goes home. And what have you invested in that person? So that's important for me, and for the future. And like I said to you earlier off air, whether I'll belong in football coaching, we'll see. But I feel that I'm in the space where, do I do something on my own or with someone, or do I continue being at a football club, but the right football club that wants to develop, that wants to succeed in their culture, not only succeed on the field, but what culture do they have, their vision, their morals, the philosophy, and that's why Ubuntu always excites me. Ajax, Cape Town Spurs, they always excite me, because even Cape Town City right now, with Moritz going from Ubuntu to City, those things excite me, because those are projects that you can say, it's not that it's there just primarily the 3 points. It's not. It's the holistic development of a football club, the culture, the human being, the values, the morals, the philosophy, and that's the space that I want to be in.
So that is more than 3 points, coach.
Yeah, it's more than
So,
it's more than 3
football is
points.
more than 3 points, and
Yeah.
I think that is something that many people have lost, especially when it comes to coaching. I mean, it's very difficult if you don't get the 3 points, you're gone.
Yeah.
But I think it's more than the 3 points because you're developing yourself as a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, summing up now our chat, coach, where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? Or maybe, I mean, depending on what are some of the prospects that are in line for you in the coaching space, because we understand that there is the coaching, there's also the coaching education. You know, there's a number of things that one is able to tap into, and especially with someone like yourself. You've been involved with Venda Football Academy, where you were an assistant coach, you moved being in the head of youth, and you found yourself in an administrative role where you must develop people. You know, you're not only dealing with football players, and then you became a technical advisor in Free State as well.
Yeah.
So you kind of have a bird's view of what is happening in the space of football. Where do you see yourself in the next couple of months or years?
I think you are actually pushing me to even think further now, and I feel that sitting right here now and doing this interview, I feel that I should start doing more courses, upgrading my, not my CV, but upgrading my education. Like you said, you mentioned coaching education. For me, I also think that I can do well in that, and I want to get on board with the coaching instructors, get on those courses, also do more certified courses like performance analyzing, and just investing more in myself also. You know, I don't think I will be coaching for much longer. I think I have the bug, like Coach Fopadan will always say. Once that bug bites, then it stays with you. So I feel that he has left something in me when I was at Ajax Cape Town, and that bug just grows and grows and grows and grows more. And I feel that investing more in myself, in coaching education, and then also going out and helping coaches develop players. Better coaches helps players become better. So yeah, I think I'm heading into that. Not that I want to quit coaching, but I can see that my happiness lies in helping others.
I think that mentorship role you've played already. You just need to expand on it.
Yeah.
If you look at your playing career, playing at the highest level, and you merge that with coaching, what could your reflection be?
Playing at the highest level.
Playing at the highest level professionally and transcending into the coaching space. If you had to compare the two, your coaching journey and your professional playing days, if you had to merge the two and you reflect in the football space, what is your reflection on football?
I think I'm coming full circle, and I'll tell you why. Because I never dreamt when I started playing football that I'll go overseas, that I'll play for the national team, youth, or the senior. I never dreamt of learning languages. That all happened when I was playing. Going into coaching, I traveled to Limpopo. I traveled to Polokwane. I've been in spaces where I've to learn different languages, interact with players. A lot of those things was happening when I was a footballer. Then learning different type of coaching, different type of trainings. As a footballer, you have to learn different types of drills. You have to learn different types of tactics. You have to implement those. coaching also, you might want to teach a player a certain drill or teach a team a certain tactic, but you also have to get the buy-in of those players to do that. And that for me has been great, because now I'm at that point where I can make players play and they are comfortable at doing what I'm asking them to do. And that for me has been a real joy, because I know I've grown. When I look at myself and I smile and I see a team score a goal, or I see a team defend a goal, or I see a team have possession, or I see a team building up, or whether it's counter attack, and it's something we have trained, it means I've invested in the team. I've invested in that player, and just it was easy to become a football coach after being a professional football player. And the reason that was like that is because when I was at Supersport, Coach Pitso Mushimani said to me, you have to start going into coaching. And I think when I came from Russia, going to Supersport, and him being there at the time was a blessing in disguise, because he made it easy because of the person that he is, and you could learn from him. He had time to talk to you. He had time to spend with you. He'd always call you. You'd always want to have a coffee with you, you know. And he started changing our mindsets, you know. When I look at Dane Plate coaching now at the NFD, it is something that he has instilled in us. Tabo September, it is something that he instilled in us. We are all super sport boys that have played under Coach Pitso. Ricardo Katza, he's coaching as well, you know. There's so many that I can also mention, you know. We come from a culture where we've always been coaches while we were playing. So us transcending and going into that space is easy, because when you are serious about something, when you are serious about coaching, you know, it's easy to do it because you are serious about it. You're not faking it. You know, I said to you earlier also, players can see when you fake it. Players can see when you're trying too hard to convince them. But when they know that you are sure about something, they just follow.
Thank you so much, Coach, for taking the time to chat with us, and we really enjoyed having a conversation with you to just follow your coaching journey.
Thank you.
And we wish you everything of the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to what the next years or months have for me here in Cape Town. I feel it's time to settle down in Cape Town. My wife loves it here, and if I leave, God hoping it's and God willing, it's to a place where I can also add value again. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Coach.
Pleasure.